All right, episode 66. The time has come. Execute Order 66. Sorry, I don't know why I said that. That was a Star Wars reference if you didn't know. I just don't think any nerd can hear the number 66 and not think of that. But that is not why I'm here today. With all the Olympic buzz still booming, I'd like to kind of do a deep dive on what separates the best from the average person's best, really, because I think if you solely look at the specific group of people, it's pretty insane to think about like what Olympic athletes have been able to achieve, and most of them at a fairly young age as well. To get to that level, you need to be just insanely disciplined in every single aspect of life. You're giving just 100% every single day. There's actually a Ryan Holiday quote in Discipline is Destiny that says, you have to do your best while you still have a chance. Life is short. You never know when the game, when your body will be taken away from you. Don't waste it. And Olympians are a group of people who have just completely mastered the art of discipline. Look at Nike's latest Olympic campaign, for example. I think it perfectly kind of exemplifies what I'm trying to get at here. The tagline is winning isn't for everyone, which is true because the average person is fucking, barely making it through the day. You wake up, you hit the snooze button, you scroll on social media, you skip meals or you eat like shit. You find a way to power through your work day and then come home, you stay up too late, you binge watch TV for way too long, and then you kind of do it all over again. Now, obviously, this sounds like a very just harsh generalization, but in comparison to the level of effort and commitment and sacrifice that these Olympic athletes are putting in, it's not even close. So why is this? Why do these people all over the world just seem to have it so dialed in? Part of me wants to say, well, they kind of got lucky. They found what they were meant to do, right? You hear stories like Tiger Woods, for example, one of the greatest golfers of all time. He started swinging a golf club at 2 years old after just watching his father hit thousands of golf balls. And when I hear that, it makes me kind of think, was he destined to do that? What if his father was really into swimming and Tiger learned how to swim at a very young age? Would we have seen a similar climb to success no matter the sport? Or was that passion and talent solely for that one thing? Or can we make the case that it's just a mental obstacle that needs to be overcome in order to reach your full potential? Regardless of whatever it may be, Olympic athletes seem to find a way to crack the code. So today I'm discussing 5 well-known theories that have been known to help one realize what's within their control to foster success and how to reach their full potential. First, we start off with Carol Dweck's growth versus fixed mindset. So as we come into the world, we all start out with a growth mindset. As a child, you see challenges as opportunities to grow and understand, and your abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication, hard work, play, risk, and learning, basically. But as you get older, you start experiencing more unique situations, and you face certain obstacles that you may not be able to overcome. At some point in our lives, we all fail at something, right? And then you may receive negative feedback along the way, and you start shying away from taking risks. And you can even start to feel threatened by other people's success. And if you get caught up in this kind of way of thinking, you'll take on what's known as a fixed mindset. And people with a fixed mindset say, you know what, I've attained this certain level of talent or intelligence, and nothing is really going to change that. This is me, and this is where I stand in comparison to the world. And because of this, their achievements kind of begin to plateau over time. They start taking less risks. They give up more easily. They ignore useful feedback, which ideally would help them succeed in the future. However, individuals who are able to look past their shortcomings and obstacles can maintain this childlike growth mindset. They believe that their abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort and persistence, and failure is just kind of an essential stepping stone for mastery. So if you want to make it to the next Olympics, start adopting a growth mindset. Second comes Angela Duckworth's theory of grit. So Angela was a 7th grade math teacher, and she began to notice that IQ was not the only factor that led to student success in the classroom. She noticed that the kids who kind of held strong and worked their way through difficult problems were also highly successful. In other words, the kids that really had a lot of grit. After this, she began studying this specific characteristic for years on end and eventually published her research documenting how grit predicts long-term success. In her studies, her team developed a grit scale, and they found there were 2 key principles of grit, and they are passion and perseverance. So in order to find success or mastery, you need to, 1, truly care about what you're pursuing, and then 2, you must maintain focus and determination when you're faced with obstacles. But what she found was that people who landed higher on the grit scale were able to overcome challenges more easily while maintaining their drive toward achieving their aspirations, making them more successful. To me, this theory really comes down to long-term sustainability. Those who practice self-discipline and are able to kind of keep showing up despite setbacks will make it further than those who just have kind of raw talent or intelligence. Next we have, I'm going to mess this guy's name up, but it's Mike Csikszentmihalyi's flow theory. So this guy was also known as the father of flow, which is probably one of the greatest nicknames of all time. But his theory highlights the importance of deep engagement and enjoyment. So it sounds extremely just nice to be in a flow state, right? Like what a privilege it would be to experience this, to find something that you're really good at and then just to be in the zone. But what are some characteristics of the flow state, right? According to the father of flow, you've got 8 in total. There's complete concentration on the task, clarity of goals, rewards, and immediate feedback, transformation on time, so whether it's speeding up or slowing down. The experience itself is intrinsically rewarding. It is also effortless. There's an equal balance between challenge and skill level. Your actions and awareness are also merged, which cause you to lose self-consciousness. And finally, there's a feeling of control over the task you're performing. And if you're able to achieve a flow state, you can expect to experience enhanced performance and overall satisfaction. I remember in one of Tim Grover's books, he talks about how Kobe Bryant often entered a flow state during games because he was just so absorbed in the activity of playing basketball. He was able to perform at such a high level during these big high pressure moments because he was able to tune out the noise, the crowd, the lights, just all of it, which is pretty amazing, right? I've definitely gotten into a flow state when it comes to like performing work, but never a physical activity or sport. But once in my life, I would love to just accomplish this on a physical level, I think. From here, we transition over to Ericsson's deliberate practice theory, and he says if you want to achieve mastery in any field, it requires approximately 10,000 hours of practice. And there are 3 key components to this theory, though. First, practice is more important than innate talent. While natural ability can provide an initial advantage, consistent and focused practice is crucial for reaching expert levels. Next, he emphasizes the role of mentorship to provide feedback and guidance. And then lastly, individuals must maintain motivation and persistence in order to stay engaged through these 10,000 hours of practice. And all of these, make sense, right? Progress over perfection. An author named Malcolm Gladwell took this research and then later wrote a book called Outliers, and this really kind of popularized the 10,000 hour rule. But this is a theory that I'm trying to keep in mind when it comes to this hobby. I've done 65 episodes now, and on average it takes me about 5 hours in total each week, not including the time it takes to create like shorts and stuff. But that puts me only at like 325 hours. So I'm only 3% of the way towards podcast mastery, which I think is encouraging. I look back at like the 3 components. I'm practicing every week. I am very receptive to the feedback that I am trying to get from people in my immediate circle. And then I'm motivated to kind of just keep chugging along and keep doing this week by week. The last theory we're looking at, though, is the 40% rule. This was popularized by former Navy SEAL and endurance athlete David Goggins, who's very popular in the self-improvement kind of realm. And he says that your perceived threshold of when you're ready to give up is essentially bullshit. When you feel like you are just completely exhausted and you've reached your physical and mental limits, you're actually only about 40% of your true capacity, and you have a significant amount of reserved untapped potential. So how do you push yourself past these limits you're putting on yourself, basically? First, it comes down to mental toughness. Goggins believes much of what holds people back is actually way more psychological rather than physical. Second, overcoming comfort zones. So you need to first identify these self-imposed kind of barriers that you're putting on yourself in order to break through them. And then lastly, work on expanding your mental and physical capacity. By consistently pushing yourself beyond that 40% threshold, gradually you're just going to increase your endurance and improve slowly over time. So if we take a holistic look back at all of these theories, I think a common theme that I'm finding is 1, slow incremental improvements through focused practice. 2, an actual passion for the task at hand in order to keep you motivated long term. And then 3, the discipline and strength to be able to 1, recognize failure, but then also 2, push through it. So if you want to be great at something, there you go. That's my theory of theories. Now, obviously, I'm not an Olympic athlete by any means, but I don't think it's ever too late to kind of pursue something that you're passionate about. Most people really just give up when they don't see immediate improvements or rewards, but here we are, we're showing up week by week, and we're going to see kind of where we stand on that grit scale. So with that, thank you. I appreciate you listening, and yeah, I'll talk to you next week.